Hello, YouTube again. Excuse me while I check my notes. Um, so I decided today that I would do a video on my religious views since I will probably primarily be talking about religious stuff. Of course, I'll probably end up talking about photography and jewelry and pretty much everything else that just kind of interests me. But primarily right now, spirituality is a big thing in my life. So I wanted to explain my views. I realized that not everyone will agree with me. That's fine. You don't need to agree with me. This is my path. So just, you know, sitting there saying, well, don't get on my case because I don't believe the same thing you do. I don't have to. That's just my thing, so thanks in advance for not attacking me. That'd be awesome. Okay, so first of all, as a pagan, most people think that pagans are just automatically polytheistic, and I guess in a way, most, if not all, pagans are. I still kind of see myself as monotheistic while being open to polytheism. I'll explain. I believe in one God or being or entity. I believe in one divine energy source. Some people call it source, some people call it divine energy, some people call it God, some people call it spirit. There's a lot of different names for God, and that's where you get into polytheism as far as I'm concerned. I believe that God can manifest in many different ways for many different people by many different names. I think that you can call God by whatever name suits what you need, and that he or she will listen to that. I feel like there are too many people in this world that have too many views for God to really pinpoint one little thing that we all have to believe. I mean, with so many people living in this world and so many cultures and so many ways of life and so many views and so many different types of people, there's no way we're all going to agree on one thing. Many of us do agree that there's a divine energy or spirit out there. The disagreement becomes when you talk about how many gods, what the form God takes, whether God is a he or a she or an it, or there's so many different things that people disagree on about God. And honestly, I think that if what I was taught as a Christian growing up, that God is all-knowing, all-powerful, and all-understanding, I think God understands that as humans, we're going to disagree on that. And I think God is understanding of us worshiping him or her or it in whatever way works for us personally. I think that if God pinpointed us into one thing, only one way to God, that would be a very human trait for God to have. Because if God is all-knowing and all-powerful, then he doesn't have any limits. So why would he limit his people in a way that's so illogical? Anyway, I could go on about that forever. Like I said, I think God can be manifest in many different forms. I think God is both male and female. And I think that depending on what we're asking of God, depending on what we need from God, we can ask different aspects of God. For example, if you're wanting, nurturing or something like that, like a womanly trait, a female trait, then ask, a female aspect of God. If you want something like strength or courage or a very manly or masculine trait an aspect of the male god, whatever. And of course, you can go throughout many different pantheons and everything, looking at what each god in history is supposed to be good to ask for, stands for, all that stuff. So I haven't really gotten completely comfortable with that. I still kind of call God or goddess or Lord or lady or whatever. But I'm getting there, and it's coming along. I think I've already said this, but you need to practice what works for you, and I practice what works for me. And that's why I think that anyone who tells me that I'm wrong or I'm going to hell or my way is not the right way, it's like, well, it may not be the right way for you, but it may be the right way for me. And I think God understands that. Because if he doesn't, then that makes God imperfect in my eyes. And God's not imperfect. God is perfect. God is perfection. So if God is perfection, then he understands me and my imperfections. So my past, I was raised Christian. More specifically, I was raised Episcopalian. And some of you out there may be going, Episcopal? Well, Episcopalian is an apostolic tradition of Christianity. To put it in the words of Robin Williams, it's Catholic light. Oh, the tradition, none of the guilt. So it kind of works that way. I mean, I don't know. I can go to a Catholic service and completely follow along, know exactly what's going on. Episcopalian services are very close to Catholic Mass. I have friends that have always, joked that if you came to church with me, you got your exercise because we stand, we kneel, we sit, we stand, we kneel, we sit, all that kind of stuff. So I don't really want to go into what Episcopalians believe because I honestly don't really know very well. I just know what I was raised believing, but I also know that it's not purely Episcopalian because my parents are kind of, I don't know. My dad was raised, I think, Pentecostal, and now his parents are Methodist, and my mom was raised Episcopalian, but she also went to Baptist churches and Catholic churches, and she's been all over the map. I mean, she's just crazy. So as far as my personal beliefs go, I don't actually believe in hell as a fiery pit of doom where we're all going to burn or whatever. Rather, if there is anything like hell, I would think of it as a complete removal from divine energy. And I feel like you have that choice after you get to the end. I mean, I feel like if you, for example, if you're going with a Christian point of view and you say, okay, well, when you die, you either go to heaven or hell. Well, I would believe that when you die and you go up to, let's say, the gates of heaven, I believe that God would give you one last chance to accept him. Say, hey, I'm here, look, I can prove it, I exist, woohoo! Now, will you follow me? And if at that point you say, no, I don't want to have anything to do with you, then you don't really burn in hell. You just are completely removed from God's presence. And that would make sense because obviously you've chosen not to be around him or her. So to me, hell is just like a removal from God or goddess or divine energy. I also don't believe in the devil. I don't think that there is one being out there that's out to get us all and make us, come over to his side and be evil. The way that I see evil is I see it as like dark or shadow energies that are discordant with divine energy, that they're not harmonious with divine energy. So, for example, if you are manifesting agitation or anger in your life, that is a shadow energy. And I mean, it's not necessarily evil. I mean, it's not to that level, I guess, but at the same time, it's a shadow energy. It's something that you don't necessarily want to manifest in your life, and it's something that probably holds you back from moving forward with your spirituality, with being close to the divine, all that kind of stuff. So I feel like it's an energy that kind of messes up the harmony in your life. If that makes any sense. I don't know if I'm actually making sense there. I understand it, so that's what matters, but, you know, whatever. I also go by the whole, the Wiccan read. I wouldn't call myself Wiccan, but I do go by the last line of the read that says, "And it harm none, do what ye will." And what I was taught and what I read about that was that basically, like I said before, you do what works for you. You practice what works for you in your spirituality, in your everyday life. But the one thing you always need to be mindful of is you shouldn't be hurting people. If you're hurting people, that's a shadow energy. You're putting out negative energy, dark energy into the world, and that's not what we need. We need positive energy. We need harmony. So basically, that means don't do anyone any harm. And basically, when you're working on spiritual stuff, when you're meditating, when you're praying, when you're asking for healing energy, when you're asking for anything, when you're doing a spell, anything, think about the repercussions of what you're doing. If it's going to hurt someone, don't do it. It's as easy as that. It also means don't hurt yourself. I mean, you count as a person. So don't hurt anybody else and don't hurt yourself. So that's how that goes. The golden rule kind of goes along with that, and I go by that. Do unto others as you would have them do to you. If you wouldn't treat yourself that way, don't treat other people that way. I mean, it's pretty simple. Views on the Bible. Okay, so my views on the Bible are kind of like my views on the Quran, on the Bhagavad Gita, pretty much any holy scripture, religious book, text. It was written by men. It was written by humans. And to me, I believe that makes it fallible. It contains errors. Men are imperfect. And I'm sorry, but even with divine intervention, I just don't see like how many times the Bible has been changed to suit political, motives. How many times has the Bible been, retranslated or mistranslated or whatever? I mean, how many words are there in Aramaic, in Greek, in Latin even, that we don't have a word for that in English or whatever. There are words in Greek that Latin doesn't have a word for it. There's words in Aramaic that Greek or Latin doesn't have a word for it, and then it's been translated from Aramaic to Greek to Latin. There's mistranslations in there, let alone the translations into English. It's just like, I do believe that the Word of God can be found in the Bible. I think you can find a lot of other crap too. It's the same in the Quran and in other religious texts. I mean, I think there are whole truths, real truths that can be found in religious texts. But because they were written by man, I think that you can find a lot of other stuff too. So last thing I have to talk about is basically I did a year and a day study when I started looking into paganism. I decided that it would be a good thing for me to do because, well, it makes me kind of follow a pattern. It makes me commit myself to a year and a day of studying this religion, studying my own spirituality, and figuring out, what do I believe? Not what has someone taught me to believe, not what was I raised to believe, not what was I told to believe, but when you come right down to it, what do I believe? What is it that resonates with me? And in my year and a day, my faith and my religion was completely broken down. Almost, it was as if it was torn apart forcefully. I actually at one point broke down because I was reading historical proof, basically, about Jesus, about the Bible, about all these, inconsistencies that I never even paid attention to before, because maybe I didn't want to, maybe I just figured, there's some other explanation for them or whatever, but I finally made myself look into them and really look at them and go, okay, does this have historical accuracy? Does this really hold suit to something, or can I explain it? Whatever. And I broke down and cried. I mean, I was sitting there going, what I've believed about Jesus, I don't believe anymore. I can't let myself believe the things about the Bible that I believed anymore. I've found passages in the Bible that I never knew were there, that have been pointed out to me, that I just can't believe someone would include in a book like this. It was just, there's a whole bunch of stuff that I was just like, oh my God, I don't believe this anymore. And it was hard. I mean, anytime you go through a big spiritual change like that, especially if it's all at once because it all culminates at one time, it's stressful. For lack of any other way to put it, it's really stressful. And I mean, it made me break down, but it also made me look at it and go, I can rebuild. I can build on what I know and what I'm learning, and I can figure out, okay, if I don't believe this, then what do I believe? What's here? What can I say? This makes sense to me. I understand this. I get this. This resonates with me. And I can honestly come out and talk to whoever and go, I believe this, and I'm not ashamed of it. So that's been a big part of my year and a day. And it's been tough. But my year and a day was up July 25th. So I did a little celebration ritual and had a lot of fun. And I spent some money on a really nice book of shadows. I haven't gotten it yet because it's completely custom and they're making it right now or in the next few weeks or so, whatever. So I'll get that. When I get that, of course, I'm going to do a YouTube video on it. Be like, look, it's my book of shadows. It's awesome. It's blank right now. So that's fun. So yeah, I mean, I'm doing a lot of writing. I'm doing a lot of reading. I'm still learning, always learning. And that's pretty much where I'm at right now. So I don't know how long this video is right now. It looks like, oh my goodness, holy crap, almost 20 minutes. So I'm really sorry for babbling on, but I'm done now. Yay. See you guys later. Bye.